Podcasting since 2005. This is the King of Podcasts radio network. kingofpodcasts.com.
WWE is booking for the fans, booking for the Saudis, and booking to fix mistakes.
Woo! Hey, this is the Nature Boy Ric Flair. And believe it or not, whether you like it or don't like it, learn to love it. Because you have to listen to Wrestling is Real. It is the best thing going today. Woo!
The worldwide leader of podcasting excellence. The King of Podcasts radio network proudly presents The Wrestling is Real podcast, because wrestling needs us.
Welcome to episode 935 of the Wrestling is Real podcast. kingofpodcasts.com is where you find the show initially, and you find it on all major podcast platforms. Apple Podcasts, Spotify, YouTube Music, Spotify. I said it twice because it is one of my favorite places. iHeartRadio, Amazon Music, and so many other places. And also, if you haven't done so, if you wouldn't mind, if you are able to, because I don't ask for much on this program. I don't ask for much of the fans here or the listeners listen to the program on a regular basis. But if you'd like to go ahead and throw a little bit into the tip jar for your Australian King of Podcasts for all the programming I do here on a regular basis, whether it's the recaps or whether it's the regular weekly show, if you would be so kind to donate, there is a donate button on the website. And if you wouldn't mind, take your preference, whatever you can give would be really helpful just to go and help support the show, because there's only so much you can make on ads, and I don't really throw ads at you all over the place unless it's the audio broadcast, because I need those to kind of make something back. So, things like that. Anyway, we're here, and there's a few things to go ahead and touch upon that happened since Money in the Bank and Worlds Collide with AAA. And we can go into some of the things that have been going on that have been built up leading up to All In Texas coming up, and what has come out of Money in the Bank now that they made the change on that as well. So we'll go through all of it. But first of all, we can go in whichever direction we want. There's a lot of things that had changed since Money in the Bank. We know that Seth Rollins and Naomi are now respectively the briefcase holders of the Money in the Bank briefcase. I mean, they're kind of predictable choices. Seth Rollins winning. I said on the recap of Money in the Bank that I was okay with it, because I do think that if you're going to have somebody doing that right now, you're going to have someone in that new faction with Paul Heyman. They got to be doing something. Like, they got to accomplish something here. So if they don't have gold, then they need to be controlling that briefcase. That does make sense for that group just to do something here. But in the meantime, they now have heel champions to go ahead and that Seth Rollins has to deal with, unless he's going to go ahead and take up on that. So that change comes up with the fact that Gunther is now World Heavyweight Champion, and a change that negates whatever happened at WrestleMania. And I think that's the first place I want to go with anyway, is Gunther making Jey Uso submit at a very significant main event match on Monday Night Raw. And they haven't done any title changes since Big E. What was it, 2021 or 22, something like that? So it's been a while. And now we're at the point where now we have Gunther back with the belt. So they were willing to go and put Jey Uso with the belt. It didn't work well. His promos didn't work well. And, I mean, when you look at everything they were doing, they had to do with Logan Paul coming and attacking. And then Jey Uso was just kind of like there. It was a bit of a mess altogether, what to do with Jey Uso holding on to this belt. They wanted to go and pay off the fact that they wanted to make him a champion here. They made him IC champion before, and now get him here after WrestleMania. I never saw the benefit of Gunther dropping the belt in the first place, especially losing again at WrestleMania, but now they've negated it. So whatever that plan was, in 51 days, they scrapped it. And I don't see Jey Uso going back near that World Heavyweight title or any main event title again like that. Unless he's going after tag team titles again with Jimmy. That's it. I think Jey Uso is now at the peak of his career. That's as high as he goes. And that's about as far as they're going to get. With Jey Uso, you got the yeet stuff, and that's it. And he can run with it for whatever he wants. The crowd's going to be into it. They'll sell merch, And that's all that matters. But they don't need him to go and be the title holder. Doesn't need to be mattering. But now Gunther goes back to this, and I'm like, you tarnished Gunther for a while by putting him in with Pat McAfee, and like just not really having a plan coming out of Backlash to what to do with him, except go back to the well and put Gunther back in a match with Jey Uso. With not much fanfare. They just kind of built it back up again, said, all right, we're going to do it one more time, and Gunther, just like that, takes the belt back. Not a lot of pomp and circumstance behind it. Not much of a story to go with the fact of all that. I mean, remember, we did have it where Gunther pummeled Jimmy Uso leading up to the WrestleMania match. And Jey Uso couldn't do anything else to come back from it. And now, of course, you can say the things about what was going on within the match itself. But like also, there was no Ludwig Kaiser to be seen at all. He's nowhere to be found. So Gunther's out there by himself. And that's it. And Gunther being champion here, no problem with that at all. I would have preferred no change whatsoever. But they decided to go this route. And I don't know. But what else are you going to do with Gunther? Because even he is a flat promo. He's okay, but like it really just depends on who he has to go up against. And I don't know who you have him go up against now. Like what baby faces do you have now that can go ahead and do anything at the moment? Like who do you build him up for going to the SummerSlam? I don't know. He's a very credible champion. He's a good hand. I just don't see him being some more of a draw. Now, you could also say that with Gunther, there's a reason for him to go and be there at this spot because you got pay-per-views down the line you got to go and build up for that are going to be outside the country, I guess. So I don't know what else you do. And the one thing, too, is that for whatever reason, Triple H and his crew, they like to give Gunther long title reigns. The NXT UK title reign, the initial, the NXT Championship reign, the World Heavyweight title reign, the IC title reign, they like giving him long title reigns. They're usually more than a couple hundred days each time he's out there. So they like him being in this spot. And I don't think they've ever really done a good job of working on trying to go ahead and do more to the character. Like there needs to be an evolutionizing of the character. The ring general thing's been fine for whatever, but like there's got to be something more about it. And I don't know what else you do to go ahead and build them up because this company's not in the storylines. They're not in the character development. They're just going to leave Gunther just the way he is. There's nothing much more they're going to do. Leave him as that. And you have this character that's based off of Imperium who he doesn't even have that group around him anymore. So what's the use here? What else do you do with him now that he hasn't already done? So it feels like a placeholder, but he's a good champion to have, nevertheless. The next thing we can bring up is R-Truth. So he comes back. And with that change, this is an interesting booking decision, but he comes back. Like I said, I really did think something happened where R-Truth was really brought back in here. And I think that it absolutely was a renegotiation. And what was being said was when they went through everything that went on with R-Truth coming back, the word is that R-Truth coming back was made possible by Nick Khan because R-Truth or Ron Killings was not going to come back right away. But it wasn't until Nick Khan came in and decided to go make change. But what's interesting now is when you see certain stars that had something of theirs that was significant, in the time that R-Truth or Ron Killings had been in WWE as K-Quick and then left pretty quickly after and spent time in TNA, which was still under the NWA banner, and in the booking with Jeff Jarrett and Vince Russo and whoever else down there, Ron Killings was World Heavyweight Champion in NWA TNA, and significantly so. If we look back at the Ron the Truth Killings TNA career, which goes back as far back as the pay-per-view days in 2002. Yeah, he was 2002 to 2007. Was initially starting off as K-Crush when he debuted, and then became Ron the Truth Killings, a more authentic character. To me, I feel like Ron the Truth Killings resembled a little bit more of a New Jack type of character from ECW. Shortly after the inception of TNA in August 2002, he beat Ken Shamrock. I believe Ken Shamrock was the first title holder and became the first African-American NWA World Heavyweight Champion because Ron Simmons was a WCW champion. So there was a distinction there. And he would actually hold that belt twice. Also was part of the 3 Live crew alongside BJ James, formerly Road Dogg in WWE, and Conan. And that was a pretty good gimmick for them. In a way, it kind of felt like what would be then after Conan was no longer in ring, he would become more of a manager. And then you got to the LAX gimmick. But that was kind of like the idea to this. And then also, let's not forget, he also paired up with Adam Pac-Man Jones when Pac-Man Jones was all in a big mess and decided to go into wrestling. He teamed up with Killings and they won the World Tag Team titles in TNA. And for that time, Ron Killings had great matches and had feuds against Jeff Jarrett, AJ Styles, and Raven. No matter what, there's a lot to be said about what Ron the Truth Killings was in TNA. And it's going to be a hard sell to this juvenile delusional fandom in WWE because they don't know anything about Ron the Truth Killings. Unless you're real diehard fans that pay attention to TNA, might have been watching at that time. But let's just say like this. I know that I never caught much of R-Truth's run in TNA because I didn't catch the pay-per-views. There was a time, again, when I wasn't watching wrestling because when WCW folded, I took a break. And from 2001 to about 2003, actually more like 2004, I basically took time away. I really got myself back into wrestling when I saw TNA on Fox Sports Net. That's when I caught back up with them. And then I saw them on Spike, and then it just went with that. The 60-minute adrenaline rush, and Ron the Truth Killings was there. And for what it was worth, he was a very credible champion. And I still think with the way he works, he doesn't work. I think the way he still works now, his work rate and the way he moves around is still he's about as agile as he was in TNA. I believe it. And so like right now, he comes back to this role as a more grizzled version of himself in that original, the truth, the whole truth, nothing but the truth. I love it. And I just wonder if people are going to be able to go ahead and get past the typecasting that WWE has put in him because he's been the comedy guy for all this time. But he's shedding that whole feeling right now. After everything, I believe this is a welcoming for Ron Killings because of this change that happened here in WWE by getting the contract lapsing and decided not to go ahead and re-sign him. And the leverage that Ron the Truth Killings had because of the fanfare brought him back. But he gets to go ahead and now have another arc in his career. His career is no longer on the horizon now. He gets to go back to Ron the Truth Killings. Now, we don't even know what the new contract is going to be or what his extension was or what they did. I imagine they must have re-signed him to a new contract. And the other one that was existing is gone. It's expired. New deal. Probably some structuring around it. But still, he's back in here now. And I think he's going to be a welcome, if it's done right, if the fans will get behind Ron the Truth Killings. I don't see why they can't. Because, there's something about him where it's just, he doesn't have to be the comedy character. He can absolutely play serious and also play heel. So I still remember when he had that match at Capital Punishment and he started going a little Jimmy and all. And like, he really did turn heel on John Cena, and John Cena was champion at the time. And I felt like that was one of the times that I actually saw Ron Killings tapping a little more into that truth character that he was. And it's a fleshed out, built out character. So I hope he gets a chance to kind of just flourish in that gimmick and bring that up, because actually will be one of the gimmicks that will actually get over. Speaking of gimmicks, it's amazing what a campy gimmick at Worlds Collide like Mr. Iguana does to the fandom, because there are a lot of people that were enamored with Mr. Iguana. That was what was the curtain jerker of the Worlds Collide pay-per-view. And he's out there doing it. I'm like, man. And Mr. Iguana, people are all over that right there. What an interesting concept. And they loved it. All into it. And so we saw that, and that's great. And now WWE might actually bring him onto the main roster for all we know, after everything has been said and done. But that's not going to change the dynamic of the company when it comes to thinking, well, we should need to get back to some gimmicks, even some like camping gimmicks like this again. I don't think they're going to think like that at all. But it is kind of cool to go and see that AAA, with some of the characters they have, that somebody really did get over organically. And Mr. Iguana did, of all of them. Who would have thought that would have happened? Now we got to talk about something else that happened here, where somebody on X actually put together a little bit of a compilation. And this is regarding the fact that CM Punk, who infamously was very much critical of WWE when he was in AEW and the time he was putting in there. Look, I don't know if what he's been doing has benefited him at all. I'm not sure if this actually happened or not. But nevertheless, here's CM Punk once again deciding we're going to get back into things once again. It's like, all right, he has come back. He had that super long feud with Drew McIntyre that went forever. And so far, didn't make anything out of Royal Rumble. Didn't make anything out of Money in the Bank. Didn't make anything out of much of anything so far. He's not got any titles. He got his WrestleMania main event, kind of, sort of, on a Saturday as part of the Fatal 3-Way, the Triple Threat, right? Other than that, and that wasn't even a match that belt for a title. But here we go. So let's go back to CM Punk, a little bit of the back and forth of his hypocrisy and where he's been. So everything he has said to Colt Cabana, everything he kind of opened up with in AEW, throw it all away. Because now it's no longer relevant. It might have been great promos against MJF at the time, but now we see where it comes from. So here we go. Let's go back to it. Some of the early stuff of CM Punk in WWE when he decides to come back, and what all is initiated from his chatter in AEW doing promos, and how it's all come to backfire on him.
If you all try to understand that I was never going to get healthy physically, mentally, spiritually, or emotionally, staying in the same place that got me sick in the first place.
Hey, look, so he was never going to go back to work for Vince. Never really thought he was going to work with Triple H, but nevertheless, I guess the money was there, and because AEW, he kind of burned the bridge there, then yeah, he had no choice but to go back to this company.
This is a rental car. Boys ruin it for the boys. You're going to smash the window of a rental car, and you're going to return it with no fucking window, and now whatever national budget hurts, whatever, is going to be like, don't rent cars to pro wrestlers anymore. This is a thing that's happened.
Now, keep in mind that we had the part where the Jack Perry incident at All In England and at Wembley Stadium, and then here's CM Punk once again, the contradiction with the window when Drew McIntyre throws, or Damian Priest throws Drew McIntyre to a window of a car.
Keep their fists from flying at each other. Oh, and he sees the aftermath of what happened.
And he sees the aftermath. There we go. Watching that doesn't respond, right? Once again, the same thing goes. So it's like, I don't even know if he's understanding that he's in a know that the contradictions keep coming to bite him, because it is. Look, it doesn't matter to me. Like I said, I've been happy that CM Punk's not in AEW because I don't know if he's really helped at all. And again, that kind of friction and stuff, that hurt the company for a while. Now, for the juvenile delusional fandom out there, of course, they're going to think that CM Punk leaving was the worst thing that could ever happen to AEW. Wrong. It was fine, maybe like the first year or so, because there was a big response to him being there. But we didn't need CM Punk to stay. Honestly, we never needed him to go and stay once Collision came on the air. I'm just saying. I don't think CM Punk being part of the Collision era when they first debuted that show, by that point, I would have never signed CM Punk to a long-term contract. Maybe go by year basis and see what happens with it. Because, again, you brought him back 10 years removed from the sport, and then he comes back, and he did fine. And you did get some value from him being in that company, but becoming like a cancer in there like he has been before, that doesn't help at all. And then we see here where it's like CM Punk has forgotten about any of his flaws that he's made before, any of his comments. Like, it's all like where WWE has revisionist history. Well, CM Punk is playing that for himself. His main character, he can revise whatever he said, and nobody can comment on him about what he said. It's like, whatever. So back to more of CM Punk and the contradictions as we just mount them up and just stack them up.
What he sees, apparently no love lost between those two.
All I want to do is give you the beating you deserve. And listen, pal, if you think the grass is so green around the other side, be my guest. Go ahead, leave. Main event night 4 of a buy one, get one free extravaganza, and then get released faster than you last in the sack. When you come back, I'll still be here, and that ass kicking will be waiting for you.
It sounded great in promo against MJF. I will say, when MJF and CM Punk went at each other, that was a great line coming back on the promos. I will give it that. But this is so ironic to go and go back to this once again, and everybody's all caught up and upset because of the fact that CM Punk was saying all this stuff right here. Again, throwing shade at the juvenile delusional fandom out there. But now playing up the fact that, well, everything about him, the buy one, get one pay-per-view kind of deal, going to the Saudis, well, that's all contradictions once again.
You're closing the show at WrestleMania.
On Saturday, the first night.
You get to live your dream of all dreams. CM Punk, you are a WrestleMania main eventer.
Match like
and the fans they're just eating it all up, you know? The fans, there's no conscience there. It's hollow. They just know they got to clap, they got to cheer, they got to sing, they got to do whatever. They know what they're told. They know how they're programmed to react in that arena for any WWE event. And if they don't do it otherwise, there's something wrong. It's like a cult in there, man. Let me tell you, the fans in the arenas are cult-like, and they all got the way they have to go ahead and behave when they're in those arenas now more than ever, which all started from the Europeans and now has come full circle here to America, because now every arena's got to do the same thing over and over. So the buy one, get one kind of contradiction. The final contradiction comes full circle today, or actually on Monday, because John Cena in the pure heel fashion, and I wish they could play up that part, but it's like CM Punk also didn't like the fact he had to go ahead and, never wanted to try to work in Saudi Arabia, obviously with the issues that are going on over there in that country. There's a political stance, the Sami Zayns of the world do not want to go to these events, and maybe he has good reason why, but still, there's always been those comments about Saudi Arabia, and that was all the Vince McMahon blame that was put around. But TKO, no, they're just enforcing it. They're continuing it. They're actually going to go ahead and try to monetize more. Much like Las Vegas, they're going to go back to, it's been officially announced, they're going back to Las Vegas for WrestleMania. Back-to-back years. Saudi Arabia is going to be paying money just as much as Las Vegas is. And they'll make a lot of money in Saudi Arabia. So why not give them a Royal Rumble? Or give them a Super WrestleMania, or whatever they're going to call it. But they're going to first get Night of Champions. They're going to get John Cena there. They'll probably get Goldberg there. Who knows who else? Crown Princes. Give me John Cena. Give me John Cena, CM Punk. Okay. Yada, yada, MC. Go ahead. Bring him on. And here's John Cena setting it up. And CM Punk, you're on. Oh, forget anything about Saudi Arabia because that title's on the line. Of course, he won't win it, but we're going to go with it anyway.
this. You're going to follow me to Saudi Arabia. And we're going to do it at Night of Champions. Ball's in your court, hero. You want a title match, it's going to be at Night of Champions. What do you say?
And this is also not forgetting that he decided to go ahead and respond back to WWE on Fox about Saudi Arabia, saying, "Go suck a blood money covered dick in Saudi Arabia, you fucking dork." Full circle. But I think CM Punk doesn't care. You know, if you had to think about the contradictions, listen, his whole thing, he's going to go do so well in UFC, and he didn't do well there. Mickey Gall beat him up. And then, you know, had another match, and he also failed on it. Like, you know, didn't do well. It just didn't. So, yeah. I don't know, man. I mean, the praise that CM Punk gets, we had it for years before, but man, I would have preferred he never went into WWE again. But he did. And that's his choice. He decided to go that route. Oh, well. I don't think it's worked out for him. I think what they've done with him right now, the crowd's just lapping up for him. It doesn't matter. It's like, no matter what he's being booked into, the contradictions don't affect that fan base. They don't care. Give it delusional fan base does not care less. So CM Punk is like immune to all the contradictions that he has created for himself. It doesn't matter to him. Fine. Okay. If that's what he wants, go right ahead. Because you know what? It's not just the company that's caused all this, but like everything that's being involved with the company. I forgot to play this last week. So there was the Tudum event that Netflix had where WWE was also featured there. Is the whole rollout of like the fall preview, basically. The new season of Netflix programming. And for whatever reason, somebody asked the cast of One Piece, the live action anime that's been, you know, a good show. I don't know how it's going to do well as a live action on Netflix, but they got the crew, the team here, to go ahead and comment on if they could be in WWE, what did they want to do? So here's what they said.
WWE. Put us in the ring. I want to fight them all.
I want to super spear somebody, please.
I want to
just one
suplex
time.
somebody on the
Actually,
carpet.
I want a twist of fate. Let me hit a twist of fate real quick. That's all I want.
CM Punk,
That's
what
all
you
I
saying?
want.
What you saying, bro? Why you
Hey,
want to
come on.
Where you at? Where you at? WWE. We want to go. We want to go now.
Yeah,
now.
bro,
Come on.
get us in the ring.
So this was obviously planted by these cast members of One Piece to talk about it. The young girl talking about Twist of Fate. The Hardys are not working there now, so that's kind of missing another point. They mentioned CM Punk. Somebody knew CM Punk because he was at Tudum. Other than that, they don't know anything about anything. Super Spear? There's no such thing. They're not wrestling fans. But because WWE is part of the Netflix family, they have to play it up as it is, right? Why don't they just say that, oh, I want to run through a Slim Jim table, you know? I want to get hit by a fireball ladder. I want to get hit with a Cash App Money in the Bank briefcase. Oh, man. That's funny stuff. Now, one other thing I should bring up here, because there was quite a bit that was discussed in regards to the change at Warner Brothers Discovery. Let's talk about that real quick. Okay. So let's go into the split of the cable companies under the umbrella of Warner Brothers Discovery into global networks, which if you listen to my Broadcasters podcast, I actually talked about this in particular about what happened, because both NBC Universal, which owns Peacock, okay, ironically, they did the same thing that what Warner Brothers Discovery is doing right now. And like I said, my Broadcasters podcast, you can go look at the past episodes. I actually talked about this here. So I know what I'm talking about with this part. So there's a part where streaming right now, anything that is digital, okay. In 2020, we had the issue where the big major media corporations were all concerning themselves about streaming services and getting them off the ground and making them profitable. And they were, you know, of course, piling in billions and billions of dollars worth of content into getting those platforms off the ground and get a lot of subscribers to them. So with some of them, they've all done their own thing, whatever. NBC Universal with Peacock and Warner Brothers Discovery with Max, and they used to have Discovery Plus. Now it's combined into Max. You know, those two particular companies, they're on the lower end of their streaming services, not having as many viewers or subscribers. Let's say Netflix, which has well over 230 or 240 million subscribers for themselves, or Disney Plus, which has, I think, over 100 million subscribers, to Amazon Prime, which also is into that 100 million subscriber end because of Prime and how they have that set up. Apple TV Plus is in the same realm as Paramount Plus or Max in the second tier of streaming services. So what's happening is, with these big corporations, they have entities that are either online or they're still on linear channels, whether on a cable network or they have the theaters, right? All the studio movies and projects that they work on. And what's happening now is that, and with some of these companies, they're not looking to try to make the bulk of their money on streaming anymore. So, for instance, there's a story I'm going to be doing my Broadcasters podcast about the fact that Amazon and Disney are both focusing on the fact of working on more theatrical releases. So, like, there was a lot of movies that were being set up for Disney to be run on Disney Plus because they thought they're going to get a lot of subscribers to go watch those new movies on Disney Plus exclusively. But they're realizing that's not going to work because they put movies like Inside Out 2 and now Lilo and Stitch, among others, and they're realizing they got to put those movies out in the theaters and make some big money and then move it exclusive to the Disney Plus. Same thing goes for Amazon, that they want to go ahead and now spend, billions of dollars now on content, but specifically they want to work on theatrical releases, which is a change from what these two companies were doing before. When they say about getting a movie in the theaters, they were also talking about the fact of trying to limit the amount of days that any new movie would be in the theater, the theatrical window, and then move the streaming and go like the digital video on demand. But they're going to make more money with the movie tickets than they would be having people watch at home for the first time. That's just what they're learning. But then at the same time, the cable networks continue to lose audience because no matter what, people are not going back to cable. If they've already cut the cord, they're not going to put it back together. And that's what's going on with NBC Universal and Warner Brothers Discovery. So they've done some restructuring because what they're going to do is, with NBC Universal, they have set aside a new company for those stations, for MSNBC, CNBC, and all the other ones that they own under the NBC Universal umbrella. I forget which other ones they have. But the plan is to now offset those cable networks, because the plan will be that they're going to probably have some of the stations to be sold by somebody else. Somebody's going to buy it from them. The same thing going now with Warner Brothers Discovery, because they're going to take all those MTV networks, like MTV, VH1, Nickelodeon, CNN, Discovery channels, Discovery networks, Animal Planet, all that stuff, Comedy Central, all of it. They're putting it off to side networks. So people are all concerned about the fact they think AEW is going to be affected by this immediately, which it's not. So I did post on X and made the point that the current broadcast deal that AEW has, going back to 2024 last year, they had a new 3-year deal with a 4th-year option. So at the end of 2027 is when the deal will need to be renegotiated. So it's not until 2027. They got 2 more years to go ahead and work on and trudge through like they're doing right now, which they would have been doing anyway. So like their current broadcast deal will not be affected by this, because no matter what, Warner Bros. Discovery right now is holding on. So TBS, TNT, they're still part of Warner Bros. Discovery, but they're going to still now be operating under a separate company with a separate CEO, all of it. But they're going to have 2 different divisions now. They're going to have streaming and studios. So HBO Max's streaming service now going to go back to HBO branding. Their film and TV studios, the DC Comics franchise, that's now going to be handling for content creation and global expansion of their streaming platform. And then Global Networks is going to manage all of the portfolio of linear cable channels, which is CNN, TNT, TBS, Discovery Channel, among others. Paramount Plus, they're also splitting off their stations because Paramount and Skydance are going to be merging. Paramount's going to be merging into another company that's going to buy them out. And while that gets changed, the CBS network is going to be held on to, I believe. Meanwhile, the cable networks, which is Comedy Central, MTV, VH1, Nickelodeon, those are all, BET, those are all going to get split off to their own separate entity as well. That's going to be happening soon too. And like I said, NBC Universal already working on that as well. It's all changing. And the reason why is because cord cutting and the rise of streaming all made changes. And now these big corporations want to change their business models because they're going to try to go ahead and instead of laying people off like they've been doing every quarter, they're going to try to sell some of these stations that are not performing well. These cable networks, they're going to sell them off. But they're going to still need programming. And AW is still going to have a contract because they're still going to be obligated to have their programming produced and distributed on TBS or TNT for either show. And the other thing also you've been noticing for the 4-hour AW broadcasts, Warner Brothers Discovery right now is actually doing a thing where they're looking to go ahead and move Collision off of Saturday nights because of the inconsistency of the audience, and obviously with all the other sports products that they have, they want to try to move it to a different night. So they don't know where it's going to go, but right now they're leaving it as the second hours of 10 to midnight on TNT at the moment, or TBS, until they can figure out what they can do next. So that's why we've had back-to-back 4-hour Dynamites and Collisions, basically, because that's what they're going to do. They're still making sure the obligation of 4 hours of programming are being met. AEW is doing it. They're just putting it all in 4 hours. But it's like where Collision is, what else can you do if it's not going to run on Saturday nights? But I wonder what night they might decide instead. That's the other question. I don't know what they're going to do. But I'm curious about it. 2 more stories I want to bring up tonight. First, I got to give you the one that's just very ridiculous. Netflix is going to be developing a pro wrestling drama series named Tuesday Night Titans. As far as I know, there's nothing at all to be said about this new show that has to do with WWE or any other wrestling entity. We don't know anything about it. But here's what we know so far. This is from Deadline.com. Michael Notaril and John M. Chu are developing this wrestling drama. So here is what we know so far. Michael Notaril worked on Monday Night Raw and also did work writing episodes of The Cleaning Lady on Fox. John Chu has worked on the movie Wicked and Crazy Rich Asians. So Tuesday Night Titans will follow a tenacious writer who risks his career in the big leagues to recruit his estranged childhood best friend, a jobber wrestler on the indies, to join the same behemoth company they idolized in their youth. Their destinies become entangled as they battle personal demons, ruthless colleagues, and their complicated history, an industry where kayfabe wrestling stage reality isn't confined to the ring, but bleeds into every aspect of their lives. This is something I feel like is going to be dead on arrival. I don't know what they're thinking here about this, but this is like a ridiculous idea. But for whatever reason, Netflix has a feeling about they want to get into the business of wrestling for whatever reason. Now, also, Notaril also worked on the Fox TV show The Resident. So he's going to be co-executive producing on an upcoming Showtime series. He's currently writing films for Netflix and Monarch Media. He's developed pilots with Amazon and NBC. He's written by United Talent Agency, Kaplan Perone, and Jordan Levine. So look, he's a significant member of, the writers out there. And I don't know, he's never been a showrunner before. Let's make that clear. He's only just been a writer. He's got writing credits, some significant, legitimate writing credits. He's got shows he's working on right now, but okay, you got a chance to go and do this here. And Netflix is going to greenlight the deal to have him they already got early development on this drama series. We don't know where it's going to go with this. Netflix has not commented about this yet either, but this has already been announced right now. I don't know what this is going to be about, if it's going to be any good. But that's very, I don't know. I don't think this will do well. The wrestling community, look, if they want to do something that's going to go on and be written and they feel like they're going to get some fuel hatred for this project that will get more people to talk about it, I guess you could do that route if you want to do that. But I don't know if people feel like this is going to be a good idea. I'm actually kind of surprised if there's anything that Michael Notaril does here that's going to be proprietary for WWE. Will TKO Group Holdings do something to kind of kibosh anything that he uses here on this show and goes creative license on it? Because that's the other thing he's going to have to worry about as well. What is he going to plan to do? I don't know. I'm not sure. Final story to talk about tonight. This is good news for the National Wrestling Alliance. Billy Corgan. I haven't had a chance to watch a new episode on X, but it's been a little bit inconsistent for him on being able to get programming out there. But the NWA now is finally getting a deal where you're going to be able to watch their programming on the Roku channel. So you'll be seeing as soon as July 29th, there will be matches. NWA Power, I guess, is going to be moving over to the Roku channel, which can be seen in the U.S., Canada, and Mexico. It'll be the first run deal for the association in more than 25 years. And this is 8 years after Billy Corgan or William Patrick Corgan buys into this. And so currently the move will see more NWA matches streaming for free every Tuesday, 8 p.m. Eastern. NWA will be expanding its programming over recent years with 10 pounds of gold, as well as weekly broadcasts of NWA Power on the CW's app. So I guess NWA is going to be doing a new program for Roku, which is what the plan is. And NWA Power continues on the CW app. You know, I was watching it for a while, and I just lost myself there because I didn't go back to it. CW app was not something, so I'm just not that good of trying to go back somewhere and try to catch up on it. It just has been rough. But Roku has been getting the deals right now with other sports franchises. They're airing Monday night, Major League Baseball Sunday Leadoff, the G League of the NBA, Formula E, Pro Volleyball Federation, and Bassmaster. So they're getting into some other ancillary sports products, and the NWA's wrestling product they're going to get into it now. So it's good for them. And Billy Corgan says that when he bought the NWA in 2017, it was understood we were inheriting the history and legacy of the most storied brand in all combat sports. So now, partnering with the number one streaming platform in North America is a moment to be proud of. So NWA Power is going to be airing on the Roku channel. Wonderful. Good for him. Now they got to have a permanent place. Now I just got to catch where I can go and catch that channel. I got to get a little more caught up into that. Don't know if there's anything in terms of a deal that they're being made for this and how long it will go, but hey, congratulations, William Patrick Corgan and the folks at NWA. I hope it does really well. And that's where we're going to leave it tonight. If you didn't have a chance to go ahead and catch my recap of Money in the Bank and AAA and the NXT, basically, of Worlds Collide, I did a recap this past weekend. You can find it as well here at kingofpodcasts.com and go look for it. And we'll keep an eye on things here. We'll come back next week with another Wrestling Gizmo podcast because wrestling needs us.